Hi, I'm Chris Ogren with Your Fit Personal Training located in West St. Paul. You can reach me at 651-210-7665. You can check out the website, yourfitstudio.com. I'm going to go through a basic workout right now, starting with a ball squat. I've got Patty here, and she's going to show you how to perform the ball squat. Any exercise I do can be made easier or harder, and one of my lines I use a lot is either Joe Mauer can do it or Joe Mauer's great-grandma can do it. Anything can be made easier or harder. So we're going to start with the ball squat. You can drop straight down, making sure that you don't rest at the top or bottom, holding it down to about 90 degrees and back up to the top, making sure you're rounding the corners is the term I like to call it, meaning that you're not resting. And that looks good. The next step in my basic workout is to do a bent over row. Patty here wants to make sure she's bent at about 90 degrees, the torso parallel with the floor. Make sure the chest is out, shoulders back, slight bend in the knees, and just go ahead and start, Patty, elbowing back. And let's not move the legs at all, and just elbow back. There you go. The legs are going to stabilize you, but your back is going to be doing all the work. Now, bicep would be the assisting muscles. Well, we're going to focus on the middle of the back right now. People are in tune with the muscles that they can see. People aren't very well in tune with muscles they can't see, so that's why I want to make sure you know that the bicep is the assisting muscle, but I want you to focus on the back. The next step in my standard workout is the ball chest press. Patty's all set up for the ball chest press. So obviously this is an exercise for the chest. So making sure you get a good stretch on the bottom, that's a good way to stay in tune with the chest muscle. And she's going to go ahead and start now and press straight up. And we're going to go back with that term I like to use, rounding the corners again. She's not resting at the top. It's real common, even for my own workouts. I kind of catch myself resting at the top. You've got to round the corners and not rest at the top. Patty's doing a good job making sure her hips are up. Let's raise them up a little bit. Kind of a tabletop from the shoulders down to the knees. And a lot of times people come too narrow, so make sure you're going straight up and everything is looking good. This is the ball chest press. The next step in the standard workout here at Your Fit Personal Training is the ball leg curl. This is going to be for the hamstrings, the back of the legs. And Patty's, all she's actually going to do is roll the ball as far backwards as she can and as far forwards as she can. So we'll go ahead and get started. Focusing on the hamstrings. And as I was saying earlier, anything can be made easier and harder. The one way we can make it harder is just by pushing into the ball a little bit and even lifting the hips off the ground a little bit while still rolling it. That makes things pretty difficult. One thing I failed to mention earlier, but you need to focus on the muscle that's working. You can always move a dumbbell or a ball or an exercise band that I use from point A to point B. But you can get to point B using any muscle possible. So it's very important here that Patty focuses on her hamstrings. And form is looking good. Making sure that you are rolling as far forward and as far backwards as you can. A lot of times when people start to put pressure into the ball, the range of motion decreases. So before they even put any pressure into the ball, I like to have people roll the ball as far forward and backward as they can, and then push into the ball as much as they can without losing that range of motion. Because as you can see, a lot of times when you raise your hips off the floor, it makes it a lot more difficult, so the range of motion shrinks. And that's the basic ball leg curl. The next step in the basic workout here, we're going to do a shoulder press. Now, it's a pretty straightforward exercise. You're just going to take the dumbbells and raise them up and down only to about 90 degrees. So you can go ahead and get started. What you want to guard from is going too narrow at the top or resting at the top. The other thing you want to avoid is coming down to 90 degrees. I don't typically like to tell you what you want to avoid, but this is a pretty straightforward exercise, so kind of hard to do wrong unless you do the few things I just mentioned. And that is the basic shoulder press. For our next exercise, we're going to work the triceps with an exercise called the French press. So we kind of already instructed Patty on how to start. She's going to make sure her elbows are straight up towards the ceiling. You can go ahead and get in that position. And then keep her elbows narrow. And I kind of have my clients act like they're throwing the dumbbell at the ceiling in control. Let's go ahead and start. And we're working the triceps, straight up and straight down. Now, there's another name for this exercise. It's called skull crushers, which kind of scares people away. But this dumbbell should really never be above your head. If anything, it should be outside your head. And everything looks good. Nice and easy. Always focusing on the triceps. You can always get that dumbbell to point B using several muscles, but I need you to focus on the triceps. That way you can always kind of contort your body, put yourself in the right position so you're feeling it in the correct muscle. The next exercise we're going to do is a pretty basic exercise. It's a dumbbell curl. I like to do mine alternating, and why don't we just go ahead and get started, Patty? One arm at a time. The few mistakes you can really make on this one is going too high or resting at the bottom. I like to do them alternating, but I'm actually going to have Patty switch to two at the same time. So let's come back together. This saves time. I personally like doing them alternating because I like to really take time and focus on what I'm doing, but there's really no need to do it that way. But this, of course, is for the biceps, and everything looks good. She's kind of rounding the corners. That's the term I like to use again. Everything looks good. That is the basic bicep curl. This is the last step of my standard workout, and we're going to do a med ball toss, which is for the abdominal muscles. Now, you can always do a standard crunch. I like to do those on an exercise ball, but this is a little more fun. We're just going to toss the medicine ball back and forth, and we're going to go head on. We're just going to toss them to the sides, which works the obliques a little bit. So you can do them with the heels up or the heels in the air. We're just going to start with the heels on the floor, and we're going to toss the ball back and forth. Like I said, we're going to go head on, and we're going to toss them out to the side. And that's going to work the obliques a little bit. You can make it harder by tossing it up. Like I said, you can make anything harder. You can make anything easier. If you can see that your partner's starting to get tired, you can just start to toss them head on. And if you're being too easy on them again, you can start tossing them out to the sides, up and down. And it's more of a game. That's why I like this one more than the standard ball crunch. But that is the medicine ball toss.